Hi, sweet dreamers. It's your boy Zach, just giving you a little heads up that The Young and the Restless is going to be reducing our release schedule for episodes from every Tuesday to every other Tuesday. So Victor and Olivia can focus on, bringing life into the world or whatever, amongst other scheduling complications. But we're not going anywhere, and we are kicking around ideas for things we might put out in the interim between sodes. So, as we always say, stay tuned and stay golden pony, boy. Anyway, enjoy this casual, loosey-goosey episode of The Young and the Restless, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Thanks for listening. Love you.
It is a good viewpoint to see the world as a dream.
Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Zach.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Victor. And this is the podcast where dreams is just ghosts.
Dreams is just ghosts.
Dreams is just ghosts.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
How's your week going, Dream Team?
How is our week going?
Well, the horse moved. The horse got a new apartment.
Oh, dude, we're moving. There are a couple of horses over here.
Yeah, so is it a temporary place, you said?
I gotta hear about this horse first.
Took
Wow.
2.5 hours to get the horse into the trailer. And I had to have a vet come out and sedate the horse.
Really?
The horse was on a dental procedure level of drugs.
The horse had to be seriously drugged
that-
to get in
would-
the trailer.
Would that be like ketamine?
No.
That's it. Isn't that where like...
Ketamine's the weak shit.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
Isn't that what ketamine is? Is it a horse
I
tranquilizer?
guess ketamine is a horse drug. I don't know what they use it for in horses. I only hear about it in people.
Yeah.
It's just get horses high.
What's a minute?
It's a recreational drug for horses.
It's in a K-hole. The H is in a K-hole.
Put the H in a K-hole.
But you moved it to a different
Yeah.
location.
Yeah. And, I have a good friend who's gonna work with the horse and get her
Dancing
back.
again.
Yeah. Get her dancing again.
Uh,
Get her back in shape, and yeah. So what's your move-in situation?
Well, it's been real stressful, real hectic. Things keep changing minute by minute, and we've just been having a hard time finding like a real place. So it's been like all over the place, like coming up with solutions, and then that like them falling through, and then like periodically having to reconcile with the fact that we might just have to so we have to pack this weekend no matter what. It's like what's after that has been a question mark. And for a minute there, it looked like we might just be packing up to go back to Denver.
This week.
Wow.
It would have to be. It's the 25th, so we'll be packing this weekend, and then Tuesday is Halloween, the last day of the month.
So is that the current plan is Denver, or is there something else?
We found an Airbnb that we're going to stay in for 10 days because Shelby has a friend who's been trying to buy real estate in California for a while, in Southern California. And she finally found something like near us. And she's putting an offer in, and because she can't move out to California herself for like a year. She has some commitments. She's in school in Colorado. And this place she's putting a bid in is like a fixer-upper. So if everything like pans out, the idea is for us to move in, and she's going to finance like send us money to do some of those projects for her. Obviously, some of them require contractors, and that'll have to be done before we actually move in. But
then you get like a discount on rent to fix up the place.
And obviously, it's a friend being the landlord that,
I hope she gets
with
it.
credit checks and everything. This is probably like the best case scenario, probably maybe even like the only way we could viably stay in California. So it's just been a series of like shitty cosmic timing leading up to this like really weird, potentially awesome cosmically timed event.
Well, so is it if that takes a little while, like getting that house situated, like are you able to like go to Colorado for a couple of weeks and then come back out when the place is ready or whatever?
I mean, we're going to be doing that for the holidays anyway. Like we'll be out there for a week and for Thanksgiving, and then at least a week for Christmas. And oh yeah, Shelby got a job. Her CNA license went through, which we had completely given up on because of the California bureaucracy. That went through, and then we knew as soon as that went through that she would be getting offers left and right because every hospital in the country is hurting for CNAs. And sure enough, she got a job and she has 2 other part-time jobs, but this one alone, working 2 days a week, granted they're doubles, but just those 2 days a week would pay rent on their own.
Cool.
That's awesome.
So it sounds like money's less of a concern now. So it's just getting approved for a place, maybe.
Yeah, we just need this seller to accept the bid that Shelby's friend put in, and then there will be some details to work out with the renovations and the subsidy that she's gonna, because it's a fixer upper, she's kind of lowballing the offer, and then that difference is gonna go towards the fixing up. So there's gonna be some like details to iron out. We might have to like after the 10 days in this Airbnb, find another one, or like maybe a cheap hotel. But it all seems doable. And then, if shit hits the fan, we can always go with the thing we've been, kind of gearing up to do anyway, which is turn around and go back to Colorado.
Yeah. How are you feeling about going back to Colorado? Are you feeling good about that, or where are you at with that?
Yeah, once I stopped panicking about it and sort of accepted it as a potential reality, I started feeling better about it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it works out where you're able to stay in California, just because I know that there's like cool career opportunity stuff happening there, but it's all going to shake out however it shakes out.
Yeah, and at this point, like I've spun out and ran every possible scenario in my head 1,000 times, so I've like run out of panic energy, and I've run every simulation that I can think of, so at this point, I'm pretty comfortable with rolling with the punches, which is hard for me. I'm much better with having a plan. And when options are like, or potential possibilities are infinite, then I really get freaked out. But when it comes down to like 2 or 3 potential things can happen, and I can actually, run through them in my head, then I'm a little more open to going with the flow because I can be somewhat prepared if it's going to be like 1 of 2 or 3 things.
For sure.
I'm sure we can work out a few more emergency scenarios for you to panic about. Like, okay, you're on your way back to Colorado, but then like a tire bursts, and then you pull over to the side of the road.
I already had this happen.
A mysterious man.
Yeah, I mean, this is still plan B, but with a wrench thrown in it. You can't be worrying about wrenches because those are everywhere all the time.
Okay, your flight across the Midwest somehow is blown off course, and you land on a desert island.
What 5 records do you bring with you?
That's right.
This episode just turns into us doing desert island questions.
I'm down.
And would you rathers?
I pitched 2 dreams and a lie earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be a good bit. A good segment.
I feel like you guys know all of my dreams, though.
Same. That's the thing.
All of my like one-liners. Like, I had a dream that I fucked the cornbread. You guys know about all that.
And then there's no way to prove you didn't just make up all 3.
I've been dreaming about big houses, like sprawling, expansive houses, and sprawling, expansive versions of houses that I know. Like one was my mom's house. And then one the other day was our house, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And like we currently, like we have a contractor working at our house right now because we're trying to put in a new bedroom. But like in the dream, it was like that section of the house was much further away, and I got to that part of the house, and it was like it turned into this huge mansion with like a bedroom that had like twin beds for like kids, but then it had like 12 of them because there was just room for more and more. And then it turned into like a parlor and there was a bar, and it just like kept going. I was like, I don't know if this is an appropriate room for children.
Have you been having this theme for a while? You did it in an episode a while back, or it feels like it was a while ago.
Yeah, I remember the one you're talking about.
The elevator.
Yeah, and then like a few weeks ago, I had one that was like we were moving into my mom's house, and it just like it looked like an AI house, like a Midjourney house, but it was like a sprawling version of her house. It was very cool, and like I just kept getting more excited about every room that I found, and I was running around, and then at one point I was like frolicking through this house because it was so cool and pretty.
Yeah, do you remember what? I don't remember in that episode what we used as a like dream Bible entry for like sprawling, expansive house that seems to keep going.
I think we looked at sizes and house.
But
yeah, I looked up house. There's a ton of like subsections on house, but I couldn't find anything about like a big house or like a crazy large house. But to dream of a house represents your mindset or perspective on a situation, your take on the experience or of current conditions, beliefs or feelings that you are comfortable with, your view of an experience that is familiar to you, your opinions or beliefs about a situation that has become normal to you. The type of house is symbolic for how you are thinking about a particular situation. The condition of the house reflects your mental state as you experience something. Rich houses symbolize your perspective on issues where you are powerful and resourceful, while poor houses represent your perspective on issues where you are powerless or emotionally weakened. What context is the house coming up in?
I guess it's been a little different every time. Like the first one that was from a few weeks ago. We were like exploring the house, or that we had like a task that we were trying to do in the house, and kept having to go to different floors to find what we needed to complete the task. And then the one in my mom's house, it was that we were moving into that house. And then this one was like to do with adding on to our own house.
Yeah, I got nothing.
I feel like I've been dreaming in themes a lot lately, but not remembering whole dreams. And I feel like that's, indicative of like this time of transition, this sort of like liminal time that I'm in, which you guys obviously are too, in a much different way. Expecting child.
Yeah. What would you say is like? Have you noticed a common theme that's coming up a lot?
Yeah, I feel like there's a few, but I've been waking up every morning like knowing that I had a bunch of vivid dreams, but promptly forgetting them. But I feel like a lot of them have had to do with family road trips, which we did every year. Because I was born in Wyoming, all my family's in Wyoming, but my family moved to Maine when I was a kid for my dad's job. But every year in the summer, we would drive back because he worked at a university, so he had the summer off. So we would go back to Wyoming, and we would take a different route through the country to get there every time and make like a family road trip of it. So I grew up doing that, and I feel like that. Like I can't remember like any of the imagery, but I just keep feeling like I'm back there doing that in the morning.
I feel like you've also had like clothes come up a few times, like particularly like what you're wearing.
That's true. Yeah, the chode pants and the like pink and blue PJ thing, and that is a big part of like I do feel like that is a common symbol in those travel dreams, because it's a big thing when traveling, like living out of a bag and being concerned with where your 4 changes of clothes are.
Do you remember any of the traveling dreams?
No, not specifically. I just feel like I wake up with snippets that have that feeling of being on a family road trip. Same thing with being in my high school band. Not the not the school band where I played trombone, but like the cool one where I played guitar. I feel like I've been having, and this is a dream I've had on and off for a long time since high school, but I feel like it's been happening a lot lately. I am having the dream where I'm just suddenly back in the band, like we're having a reunion tour or whatever, and I am expected to find my amp on stage there's like 6 amps on stage, and I'm like, which one's mine? And they're like, I don't know, but 3 of them don't work. And I'm like, do you remember the songs off our EP that we recorded fucking junior year? And I'm like, maybe, I don't know.
That reminds me of like a dream I've brought up a few times, but I had it the other night where like I realized that my pet rat from childhood is actually alive and has been the whole time. And like my first thought is like, oh shit, I haven't cleaned his cage in 25 years, like, or however long it's been. Not 25, but like it's been a long time. It's like, I don't know, you kind of like bypass the
Logic
idea that this is like not possible. Yeah.
You think it's just been running around mountains of poop like a Tamagotchi left under the bed?
Yeah, I remember being like, well, it looks surprisingly clean in there, so I guess it's fine.
Yeah, you didn't need to be cleaning the cage the whole time. The rat was going to figure it out.
That reminds me of that, where it's like, are you good? You ready to play the song that you wrote? Like,
do you ever have that dream, Victor?
In high school?
That performance dream?
Which dream?
The performance anxiety dream with music where you're just thrust on stage and there.
No, I don't think I have had that dream.
Really?
I don't know why. I feel like I should have by now, but yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I haven't talked to many musicians about whether or not they've had that dream. I feel like I've heard it with other performing. Like I've heard comedians talk a lot about having the dream where they're backstage and they're being called up, like they're hearing their name and they're sifting through like a sea of curtains and they can't find the stage.
It might be because like performing is not really your thing, like as much as
rude,
right?
But all right.
I'm quoting you.
yeah, that's right.
As much like it's not the thing that you like live to do. You don't like love to do it. You do it, but like it's not the thing that you're like all about. That's not what music is about for you, right?
Yeah, I think that's right. I remember when I was in high school, I got like really sick when I was supposed to be like in a play or something, and I was having fever dreams, or it might have been after I was in the play. I had like a fever or something. I was having fever dreams, and half of it was my brain kept trying to, it was like, you know how when you're having a fever dream, your brain will get like kind of stuck on a loop or something. And so like half of it was me playing a game in my head that was kind of like Civilization, you know, it was like there was like little like 4X cells everywhere. I remember trying to move stuff around, but then also I remember someone kept trying to like call me up onto stage, and I was like, couldn't do it or something, or I was missing it or something. But I remember someone kept trying to tell me it was my cue to come up, but it was I'd like just been in a play or was like missing a night of a play because I was sick.
That makes sense. Maybe because it was like being in a play was more foreign to you than playing music.
Perhaps. Yeah.
I've definitely had that I haven't played video games regularly since I was a kid, but I definitely remember going on benders with certain video games and playing them like an obscene number of hours in a row and then playing them in my dreams.
Tetris is famous for that.
Oh, really?
It's that if you like play Tetris, you'll like dream about it or get, sucked into it.
I used to have a lot of dreams about Jet Force Gemini on N64 and Time Splitters on GameCube.
Time Splitters.
Those were two that I remember playing ad nauseum.
It's a throwback, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't spent money on a video game. Well, technically ever, because last time I was playing them, my parents were buying them for Christmas for me.
You know, Zach, life is short, and you've only got so many hours on this earth, and you can't spend all of them being productive or growing as a person or learning new things or, doing things that are good for you. Sometimes you need to spend a significant amount of your life doing something that doesn't matter and serves no one.
I've got those. They're just not video games. when you're not good at them, or like you fall off, you haven't played them in years. There's a certain barrier to entry. Like maybe I'm sure there are some that are very easy and entry level out there, but I don't know. I don't have the attention span anymore, or the drive to like learn a video game.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably better off.
I mean, I've got stuff. I've got my analogs to video games. My version of video games.
What's the most wasteful way you occupy your time?
I don't know, jerking off.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, what would my video game be?
Side note, you stopped dreaming about jerking off at some point. That was like a real
Yeah.
regular occurrence.
That was a cornerstone
while
of my
there.
psyche.
That was like anytime anyone talked to us about the podcast, they'd be like, what's with that guy jerking off all the time? My mom's friend, who's like in her 70s, I guess, listened to our podcast, and she said, she was like, I really admire Zach's vulnerability. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And she's like, oh, you know, the jerking off.
You thought she was going to talk about, I don't know. I think a couple times.
Yeah, no, any of the other times we've been vulnerable. I was like, oh.
I remember like,
yeah, I guess that is vulnerable too.
yeah. I can remember like a few times that didn't have to do with jerking off where I was like, whew, this is hard to be this vulnerable. And the jerking off.
Nobody cares.
The jerking off.
They just want to hear more about you jerking off.
With that stuff, I'm like, oh, whatever. Everybody's done it. I don't. Yeah, it feels like those dreams tapered off when I met Shelby, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But that implies that they're literally about jerking off.
Yeah, I don't know. Or that like the jerking off was connected to something like that you were dealing with pre getting into a relationship, maybe.
Yeah.
What is
It was
the
like
jerking off entry in the Dream Bible again?
I'm sure it's under jerking off.
Yeah.
Yeah, the masturbation entry.
Jerky.
Beef jerky, same thing.
Yeah, it could be as simple as like, having to do with loneliness or solitude or self-gratification and like non-sexual, like all of those things in a non-sexual capacity.
I feel like all of your jerking off dreams were like related to like ambition stuff though.
Yeah, I feel like you're right, but I don't remember how that connected.
Yeah, it seems like this is mostly about like fantasizing about like accomplishing goals or fulfilling desires or wishes.
But feeling like you're not actually making steps, you're just cranking it.
Some aspect of your personality is more focused on enjoying yourself or being successful than on achievement or real life experiences.
Enjoying yourself or being successful. That's an interesting like this or that.
Yeah. Yeah, it says being successful as opposed to true achievement and real life experiences. So
yeah, well, that tracks.
Yeah.
Since like entering a relationship, like goals and stuff have been more attached to like a common goal or like a more substantial like reason for wanting to succeed other than like pride. Yeah,
like doing stuff for another person or for your life with somebody else or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember like when we first started talking about not wanting to date until I had all that career stuff figured out. Like that was a common theme with my dreams. But then I met Shelby and it wasn't like, oh, I have to have everything figured out before it's, I don't know. It feels more substantial to be like working on stuff together and less masturbatory. And then feeling like, oh, I have to have all the pieces together in order to impress or attract somebody or be ready for somebody.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going through something kind of similar in how I feel about like parenthood, where like I felt like, well, I want my whole life figured out first and then I can do that. And listeners, my life is not figured out.
Olivia, just hold it in a little longer.
No, me too. Like that was a big theme in my dreams was like, I got to get all of my shit sorted out before the baby comes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm going to fuck up the baby.
Yeah.
But we're going to fuck up the baby either way.
That's right. In our own unique way.
In a third way. A together way. An us way.
You ever think about if our kid listens to this podcast like years in the future? Maybe when we're dead.
Yeah. You can be like, I'm really I just want to connect with my dead parents, and I have to listen to this other guy talk about masturbating all the time.
Uncle Zach.
Where do your dreams come from? And what do they really mean? What do they really mean?
We were looking up like famous things that have been inspired by dreams, and we saw on that list this painting that we have a print of in our living room that we're always like, oh, we love this painting. And it's like fully about dreams.
Yeah, it was like inspired by like the work of Carl Jung, or no, by Freud. It was like,
Who?
it's a Dali painting,
Oh.
and Dali was like, I read Freud, and then I made this painting trying to like express an idea I got from Freud.
Yeah, I thought Dali was all about dreams, right?
Well, sure.
Yeah, but this it's like specifically named like, wait, let me find that. Mate.
Yeah. I mean, Dali is definitely like
Yeah, I mean,
inspired by
like,
dreams, but
dreamy,
like
yeah, abstract stuff.
surrealism
Mhm.
in general kind of has that vibe.
Yeah, the painting is a dream caused by the flight of a bee around a pomegranate a second before awakening.
Oh yeah, he always had those like hyper specific.
It's a cool painting.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Dali painting titles were like how hardcore bands in the early 2000s would name their songs.
Yeah.
Like Cool Guy Johnny goes to see his favorite band only to realize he forgot his dancing shoes by Panic at the Disco. Not that they were a hardcore band. Doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yeah, no, everybody heard it. You think Panic at the Disco is a hardcore band.
I just lost my scene card.
I was trying to find like examples of dreams having like historical significance or whatever. I found some stuff on that, but I also found an article about like precognitive dreams, like famous precognitive dreams. And the first example was like 2 dreams that Carl Jung had that supposedly predicted World War I. Or at least he might have interpreted them that way or whatever.
I feel like you could probably predict World War I, like based on cultural context of what's going on at the time.
Maybe, I don't know.
How long before World War I was this?
Yeah.
There was, let's see, one was okay, I'll just read it. There's 2 dreams. In 1913, Carl Jung, a famous psychoanalyst, psychiatrist, and dream analyst, dreamed that something terrible would happen to the world. He dreamed that a flood would cover the lands between the North Sea and the Alps. In the dream, he saw chunks of land, structures, and bodies drowning in yellow waves. He watched as the whole sea turned into blood. At the time, he felt that a catastrophe was happening. And so that was like a year before World War I. So I don't know, like, I'm sure a lot of people had dreams like that within the year before, but then a month before it started. So like in June 1914, I think it's a month. Maybe I'm wrong. He had a second dream that saw the happening of World War I. He dreamed that frost and ice covered the land in the middle of the summer, and the Lorraine region was frozen and deserted. He watched as a wasteland surrounded him, and every living thing died of ice-cold air. During this time, Carl Jung separated from his mentor Sigmund Freud. We're connected energetically, and it is possible that the change and new creative beginning he undertook manifested as destruction in his dream world. He could have been experiencing both the energy of what was coming and his personal life. I don't know. So it's like, maybe he...
Was the war a total surprise? Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like you can see a war coming, you know?
Well, and also, I feel like people have been talking about World War III since the end of World War II. It's like there's a lot of dream, like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
did
no,
he wake up?
I agree.
Did he wake up from that dream and then, like, you know, record somewhere that his interpretation of that is that, you know, XYZ would happen on the Western stage?
Yeah, no, I do totally agree with you. I read this article like partly, and there was one weird thing that was like that. That was like hyper specific and like right immediately before the thing happened. But it was about JFK's assassination. Let me read that one. Kathleen Middleton Robert Kennedy. Kathleen Middleton was one of two who submitted premonition dreams to psychiatrist John Bark's psychic dream study of the Aberfan landslide. I got no idea. On March 1968, she reported to the Premonitions Bureau, where John Barker conducted his studies, about her precognitive dreams of Robert Kennedy's death.
The Premonitions Bureau. Do we still have that?
I was just going to ask that.
I hope so.
I want to write in. I had a dream I was going to jerk off later.
Worried
I'm a
about
psychic.
Kennedy. Worried about Kennedy and anxious to get her point across, she called the Premonitions Bureau 3 times on June 4th, 1968. And then Robert Kennedy was shot after midnight on June 5th.
I've never really wanted like a government job before, but I would
Premonitions
work
Bureau?
there.
No.
I want to be in the Premonitions Bureau call center.
I want to work in Minority Report.
You want to be a precog? I think that's what he called them. Or I think those were people that are like, there's like psychic people living in tanks or something.
Living in tanks?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff in Philip K. Dick books, but yeah, it was like they would use like psychic mutants to predict crimes.
You're talking about
or something.
in a book?
No, this was real.
Well, apparently the psychic bureaucracy or whatever it was called, the Bureau of Precognitive Dreams was a real thing.
I think I found it. It was the British Premonitions Bureau. She's over in England, like, someone's gonna kill Robert Kennedy. And they were like, who? No, they knew. The British Premonitions Bureau was formed in 1966 by psychiatrist John Barker after the Aberfan mining disaster, in which 144 people, including 116 children, died when 500,000 tons of debris smashed through the Welsh town and buried the primary school. Jesus.
Killdozer.
Reports of precognitive dreams foretelling of the catastrophe prompted Barker to form the Bureau in the hope of predicting and avoiding future tragedies. That's really interesting.
Did it ever work?
I just told you a story about a lady that knew Robert Kennedy was going to die the day before it happened.
They were like, all right, thanks for the information. We'll tell him. I don't know. Like, what do you do with that?
Well, anything that it prevented is then not a disaster.
Right.
True.
So who knows?
Yeah, there's probably high-profile people out there walking around with stories about how they narrowly avoided assassination because they got a tip
they
off.
got a call from the Bureau.
Yeah.
Wait, this is super interesting. Okay, John Barker wanted to use claims of precognition to predict and hopefully avert future disasters from occurring. Barker and Fairley created a Premonitions Bureau and invited the public to report experiences they thought might predict future events. Fairley had a timestamp made, and the reports were carefully cataloged and set it up with an 11-point system. 5 points for unusualness, 5 points for accuracy, and 1 point for timeliness. In theory, the Premonitions Bureau would be a repository for mass premonitions to detect patterns which might suggest a possible date, nature, or place of an upcoming disaster.
I just want to know what their system is. Like, do they have a team? Do they like have field operatives that they send out to go try and stop the disaster? Or is it just like a guy with a phone?
Well, I think it's like first you're collecting data, right? So it's like people are sending in premonitions. You're reviewing premonitions and seeing if they track with things that actually happen. And you have to like do that for a while before you can take any action, right? Because you got no way to distinguish between what's real and what's not, if anything's real, right?
You kind of have to take them all seriously to catch anything, right?
To catch anything. But
Well,
I think Victor's saying there's got to be a period of, you get a dream that there's going to be an earthquake that kills 1,000 people, and then an earthquake happens that kills 1,000 people, and then you go, this is starting to gain credence.
Right. And then you try and figure out from there how to separate the ones that actually mean something from the ones that are bullshit.
Yeah, I suppose that's how you got to do it. But
It says, during its first year, the Bureau collected 469 predictions. In one hit, Alan Hencher, a switchboard operator, predicted a plane crash involving 123 people. 9 days later, a plane crashed near Nicosia in Cyprus, killing a total of 124 people on impact. It's off by one. And 9 days early. Another came from music teacher Kathleen Lorna Middleton, who wrote about a vision of a petrified astronaut. Earlier that day, Vladimir Komrov was killed when the Soyuz 1 capsule had crash landed in Russia, but the incident wasn't reported until later.
wait a minute, that's the same woman who predicted Robert Kennedy, though, right?
Was it Kathleen Lorna Middleton?
Is
I
it?
think so.
Did they ever give her?
Yeah, it says Middleton also sent a warning about American Senator Robert Kennedy.
Did they ever give her a job, or did they just keep fielding her phone calls and being like, "Oh, we'll look into it, Kathleen," and people just keep dying?
Maybe they gave her a secret job. I don't know. Yeah, or maybe it was like when like the police department hires a psychic to come and investigate crimes or whatever. They're like a freelancer.
We had one of those. One of our family friends was like hired by the military to investigate plane crashes. I don't know. She was a psychic.
Maybe we'll get hired by the military.
As
To do
dream
what?
talkers.
Yeah. Dream interpreters. I wonder what spooky shit there is going on now that we don't know about.
Right the second.
Like in an official capacity, because you tend to find out way later that like MK Ultra was real, or that Hitler had an occult division. Yeah, it just feels like every time you find out that like government bodies are messing around with like psychics and woo woo shit as a serious endeavor, it is usually like decades after
Right.
those programs were initiated. It's like, what are they?
Thinking of like Project Stargate. Do you remember that one?
I remember
It
the
was
show
like they were-
Stargate.
I might have the wrong name, but it was like they were trying to use like harness astral projection to like
Yeah.
send American spies into Russia.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was
Yeah.
called, but yeah, George talked about that on Weaponized.
Didn't it like kind of work? Like, didn't some stuff happen that was like,
There was some weird
this-
stuff. Yeah.
Let me read the summary of this, of like the results of this program. It only went for 18 months. And then it looks like at least one of the guys that started it died under mysterious circumstances. But shortly after Barker's death, the Premonitions Bureau closed. In the 18 months of the Bureau's existence, it collected 723 predictions. 18 were recorded as hits, so like predictive of something. And of those 18, 12 of them came from two people.
Kathleen.
Yeah, Kathleen was one of them, and then somebody named Hencher was the other.
So there were two psychics.
There were two, maybe, who knows, possible psychics, but no disasters were prevented.
Yeah.
So psychics are real, but they're not helpful.
Not through the Bureau of Premonitions, at least.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like this lady was blowing people up about Robert Kennedy. If someone had done something about that.
It's not that she wasn't helpful. It sounds like, yeah, is it on her? Is it her job to go to him directly?
I feel like she told these people and they didn't do enough with that information.
And what's it?
I think her telling them was all she had to do.
Well, and to what degree is a prophecy inevitable?
Hmm.
I mean, like, does knowing about it self-fulfill it? Or is it like going to be fulfilled? You know what I mean? Like, does it matter if you know or not? If that's
Yeah.
the course things are going to take.
Probably depends on what the thing is. I feel like you could avoid somebody killing you, but maybe not an earthquake.
Yeah, like what if you're destined to die, but then you have a vision of the future and avoid that death? But then death seeks revenge on you and hunts you through a series of elaborate mishaps.
Like Final Destination.
Yes, I'm describing the
Yeah.
plot of Final Destination.
Would you rather know Full circle back to would you rather question.
Would you rather?
You're on a desert island. Don't just pick records that are going to make you sound cool, because you're going to have to listen to these 5 records.
Yeah, no one's going to be there to see how cool you are listening to those 5 records.
No, would you rather know when or how you die?
When, for sure.
Yeah. Because then otherwise you'd just be like scared of whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's the kind of thing where it's like you spend your whole life avoiding a thing, and then through some weird coincidence, you end up right in the right place where the thing gets you.
Yeah.
And it was all for naught.
The seer tells you it's a car crash, so you stop driving, but then eventually a car drives through your line at Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. But like, if you know when you die, are you like kind of invincible up until that point? Like,
Oh,
can
that's a
you
good
kind of
point.
get away with anything?
I guess so.
Or is it like, if you're too brave about it, it's like, oh, then he ended up in a coma for 3.5 years before they pulled the plug and he died on such and such date.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. I guess you would be invincible you can't die until that date, but yeah, you wouldn't be invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think when too. Yeah, I think I would pick when. But it would really fuck with me if I learned that it was like in a couple of years, you know? That would really fuck with me.
Hmm.
Yeah, it would be scary to choose when, but ultimately better for the rest of your existence than how.
I think I would rather choose neither, but if I had to pick.
Yeah, that's how would you
wanna
rather.
when.
Those are the rules. Would you rather? You gotta pick one.
There's this article about like inventions or discoveries or whatever that came from dreams. And the first 2 examples, one is the configuration of the atom, and the other is the sewing machine.
What?
And I'm sure they're both very, very, I'm sure the sewing machine's perfectly useful, but it doesn't feel nearly as dramatic as like how the atom works.
I mean,
Are you more interested in the sewing machine?
more practical.
Christopher Nolan should do a Oppenheimer-style noir about the advent of the sewing machine.
Well, this says it's the most useful device in all of human existence. So
I was going to say, like, not just all of your clothes, but like anything made of fabric.
Well, it probably really shaped or like impacted the trajectory of capitalism, right? And in the free market and
Mass
outsourcing
production.
with sweatshops and
Yeah.
mass production.
The atom's cool and all, but
this is weird. I'm going to read this. Okay. The idea of the sewing machine came to inventor Elias. Is that Elias?
it's
E-L-I.
either Elias or Elias.
Okay. Elias Howe. In a dream in 1845. Howe had been musing over the idea of a machine with a needle that would go through cloth, but hadn't managed to figure out exactly how it would work. So one day in his dream, he saw some fierce tribal men dancing around a fire, waving their spears. Although his dream was not detailed, he could not forget that at the top of each spear had a small hole. The up and down motion of the spears and hole remained fixed in his memory even when he woke up. He realized that this could be the key to a machine that would work, having the hole in the needle close to the point instead of the traditional other end.
I'm realizing that I don't know how a sewing machine works.
Like that.
I don't believe anything anyone says about Einstein.
Me either.
I'm seeing that that's the next thing on here, something about a dream Einstein had. But like every time someone says, you know what Einstein said, it's some bullshit that Einstein did not say.
No.
My dad does that all the time.
You know what
He
Einstein
attributes
said?
things to Einstein.
He did it just the other night, and it was like, what was it? It was something, he was like, Bob Dylan actually stole that from Einstein. Do you remember this?
Yeah, he did do that, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it was like,
It was like, if
What
you
was
don't
it?
show up, then if you don't show up to the gig, then you're not gigging. I don't know what it was, something like that. But
that
it was like,
basically what it was. Yeah.
I don't think Einstein said that.
Yeah, it was like, showing up is 90.7349.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Einstein.
Exactly. Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin.
No, it was exactly what
It was
you were
like
saying.
that. Like every other misattributed quote is to Ben Franklin too. But
Well, you know what Ben Franklin said about Einstein?
he who
One day.
one day.
And
said,
he was right.
No woman, no cry.
I want to start like an Etsy shop that's just like bumper stickers of misattributed Einstein quotes. That probably already exists.
Probably.
My
Yeah.
buddy did that in his high school yearbook quote was, "He who feasts on human meat is never want of food to eat." Benjamin Franklin.
Me hungry. Benjamin Franklin.
But now I'm curious, what's the Twilight one? I see that the
Oh,
Twilight
suddenly
is the
you're-
next one.
You're interested.
I'm not interested in what Einstein didn't have a dream about, but
He predicted the movie franchise Twilight.
American novelist and producer Stephanie Meyer claimed that the idea for her hugely successful Twitter franchise came to her in a dream on June 2nd, 2003.
Twitter franchise?
it was a sex dream.
Oh, Twilight franchise, pardon me. Hugely successful Twilight franchise. She dreamed of it. Yeah, no kidding, right?
Yeah, those are the horniest fucking books.
She dreamed of a human girl and a vampire who loved her, but still wanted her blood, and quickly set about writing the draft of what is now chapter 13 in the book.
Yeah, that's less impressive than the sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
I should attribute this thing. So this article is on dawn.com, and the article is Dreams That Changed the World by Ahmed Khan. And then the prophecy thing was on top10.com. Can dreams really predict the future? 10 most famous precognitive dreams. And yeah, those are the articles that I'm reading from. There you go. Put that in your cap.
My top 5 records.
But like, I think it's pretty interesting that like some like pop-up organization shows up in the late 60s in England and finds like 2 possible psychics. Like they were at least getting stuff right fairly regularly. Well, that'd be funny if they had submitted like 600 of the 700 like predictions that came through. I feel like your accuracy rate definitely matters.
Yeah.
How many predictions are you making exactly?
Big deal. Olivia and I used to work with a bunch of psychics.
We sure did. There's never a dull day at that job. Though, honestly, at least one of them was a real psychic.
So should I keep reading you guys stuff about famous dreams, or do you guys want to talk about ghosts, or
You guys want to talk about Bigfoot?
what are you guys into? I did see it. We were Halloween shopping the other day, and there was like a big Yeti costume, and I was like,
He was
man,
like-
that's tempting.
He was like, baby, can I get it, please? And I was like, no.
That's right. We
Tried to sneak it into the cart, and she's like, no, you put that back.
tried to sneak a
Like,
full-size Yeti.
I was like, you're going to be so hot in there.
Hot with 2 T's. That's right.
Is that what the kids are saying these days?
No,
That's, yeah.
not
Zach's really with it, with what the kids are
Hot
saying.
with 2
not
T's.
these days. I think that expression came just slightly after fat with PH.
Oh, gotcha. Are you doing anything for Halloween?
No. Well, moving, transitioning.
The scariest thing of all.
Yeah.
This will be coming out after Halloween has already happened.
Yeah, we're recording this before Halloween, but we already had an episode come out on Halloween that we didn't realize was going to come out on Halloween, or we would have talked about ghosts or nightmares or something spooky.
Yeah, that's a pre-production failure on our part.
We should really just move into ghost stories. Give up on the dream thing. Or we can do dreams, but like,
Give up on our dreams, literally.
let's get into ghosts. It's not oversaturated or anything. People want our unique perspective on ghost stories. I'm just saying I would enjoy it.
I would have a great time. We could do a ghost podcast.
Spin-off.
If Zach's ever like has to dip out for a sode, we'll do Ghost Corner with Olivia and Victor.
Cool.
I don't have things to say about
cool.
ghosts.
Name 5 ghosts, Zach.
I don't think you got it in you, Zach.
Casper.
That's
All
our
right, that's
dog.
an easy one.
All right, you're right. I'm not a ghost expert.
Davy Jones.
You could just name dead people. Abraham Lincoln.
Bruce Willis in The Sixth Sense.
Mary Todd Lincoln.
The little boy that stands at the foot of my bed every night.
That might be something. But like those feel like dreams and ghosts feel like related, right?
It's all one thing. Dreams are just ghosts.
Little brain ghosts.
Usually people say it the other way around. Like if your dreams are just what ghosts are. They're just
Right.
fucking with you, making dreams.
Like people are right that you're just dreaming, but because your dreams are ghosts.
Yeah, it's just your brain being haunted.
Right.
Yeah. That's how your brain interprets the
Ghosts.
presence of ghosts.
And it's not always scary. Sometimes the ghosts, they get in and haunt your brain and just make you
Horny.
Horny, worry about work.
It's all Abe Lincoln.
Abe Lincoln's the only ghost.
And
He's like Santa Claus.
Abe Lincoln
He's a busy
is the
ghost.
only ghost is all dreams.
Well, we got to the bottom of ghosts and dreams.
Thank you for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can find us on social media at The Young and the Restless Pod and submit your dreams for interpretation to thejungandtherestlesspod at gmail.
And as we always say, JFK did 9/11.
Did you a tiger lily on the moon? And maybe someday we could go there together. For now the clock is screaming, welcome home. Dream forever, dream forever. Dream forever, dream forever.
All right. Killing the recording.
Killing it, murdering it.